roll through Edmonton Sports Leader TSN 1260. Jason Gregor, Jason Strudwick, Connor Halley with you on a busy Friday. I love it. Lots happening today. As we get to the racing report, usually we do it, but of course we were preempted yesterday by the gold medal game, and brought to you by CanTorque, and they want to prove that their made-in-Edmonton torque tools can outperform any other brand. You can contact them to arrange a demo, CanTorque.com, and decide if their tools, where they rank, and if you choose to upgrade, they will take your existing tools on a trade, even if they're not in working order. So check it out, CanTorque.com, as Colin Livingston joins us once again. And Colin, there's of course lots going on in the racing world, for sure. I guess give me your thoughts on. Let's start in F1, and it sounds like, I don't know if we call it expansion, but it's essentially expansion's coming.
Potentially. Don't know if it's going to happen yet, but this week, it's been going on for a long time with Michael Andretti trying to position himself to have a team in Formula One. He was really close to buying the Sauber team, operating as Alfa Romeo. Just kind of got down to the last, the last couple of signatures on that deal, and it fell apart. It sounded like, from what was reported originally, they wanted, him basically to buy the team, but they wanted to retain control, which is obviously a very hard thing to justify. But yeah, this week, renewed interest. I mean, Andretti has been working a lot in the background, but announcing this week that they're, repackaging their bid for an F1 team, an expansion team with General Motors, which will, if successful, will run under the Cadillac brand. So, that would obviously be great for North America. F1 obviously has a major focus with, now having 3 races in the States, 5 races in North America between between Mexico, the 3 in the States, and Canada. So just an awesome thing. I mean, hopefully, with the renewed, speech and the tone that's coming out of the FIA talking about how they want to have more teams, which is kind of, contradictory from what some of the discussion has been over the last year or two. Hopefully the little bit of common sense will prevail, and hopefully this can actually be a racing decision instead of a political decision.
When a group decides or wants to try to get a new team, an expansion team, to use your words, do they first have to find the car partner, or do they have to try to see if there's even any interest from F1?
Well, they go through a really extensive evaluation process, but a lot of it comes down to the approval of the existing teams, because there's only so much prize money, for the manufacturers or the constructors championship.
Yeah.
By adding another team to the mix, that's going to potentially dilute it for other teams. If you look at it superficially, by having another team in the mix, though, it can also enhance the amount of money that's available for everyone, because, a team like Andretti with, GM backing, with, more interest coming out of the States, is going to create more revenue. So, there's always 2 sides of it, but, there've been a handful of teams that have attempted to get into F1, and their bids just haven't been successful. And the kicker is, once you really get serious about it, it's except in rare circumstances, it's like a $200 million buy-in. It's not, it's not just a matter of getting a green light to have a team, put up a shop and get going. I mean, it's a very, very, very expensive proposition. So, but obviously once you're there, the potential to, to expose your sponsors to, one of the biggest sporting audiences in the world and make a bit of money is obviously, is worth the risk.
Colin Livingston joins us, and also I sense, Colin, that this is F1 looking to expand specifically more into North America.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Andretti's the one that's expressing the interest. Andretti's the one that's saying, we've got a viable proposal. We've got, the infrastructure, but at the same time, they're also trying to leverage all the renewed interest in the States. I mean, no country on the calendar has 3 races. I mean, Italy's the closest that has 2. So it's really rare. But obviously, this all goes back in a lot of ways to Drive to Survive, that everyone's really interested right now. And if they're going to, capitalize on that interest and that excitement, they've got to do more. I mean, Haas obviously is owned by an American, but I don't think is really regarded as an American team. Yeah. They haven't been able to, hire an American driver. And that's the next thing. I mean, nothing against Logan Sargent, but he's not really going to, bring a lot of eyes to the TV. I mean, they need to have, really a Colton Herta, Joseph Newgarden, even Alexander Rossi, who was an F1 driver at one point. They need to get someone like that crossing over from IndyCar to, get a few more people watching.
I was reading an article about the F1 Red Bull Formula One advisor Helmut Marko, saying that the team should be more worried about Mercedes than Ferrari. Would you agree with that as it prepares to defend its championship?
Yeah, that's not much of that's not much of a surprise. Ferrari is in a bit of flux right now. They lost their team principal last year with the quote unquote resignation of Mattia Binotto. They've now got Frederick Vasseur, who's come over from Alfa Romeo, taking over. Again, we've talked about this a bit. It's going to take some time for him to, kind of have any influence. If Ferrari keeps going the way they were, they're not, obviously they're not going to be a threat. They could try something really, really dramatic, but that comes with a lot of risk that, you roll the dice and it's just not going to pay. So I don't think he's off. I don't agree with a lot of what Helmut Marko says, but the fight should be between Red Bull and Mercedes this year. But, again, until the cars are on the track, we're just really not going to know.
Colin, let's move to some of the changes in NASCAR. Kyle Busch, of course, as changing teams. That's one of the big, two-time series champion, found a new home with Richard Childress Racing. What do you make of that move? And is there any other in NASCAR that piqued your interest?
Honestly, no. I hate to slam the door. I got so disenfranchised with NASCAR last year with the arbitrary application of rules where drivers were able to out and out destroy other cars on track intentionally, no hesitation, no doubt whatsoever. And they're able to either walk away with a win. They're either, they're not suspended, they're not penalized. There's absolutely no repercussion for using your vehicle as a weapon. But a team gets unlucky that, a center lock wheel nut with this new application that they have, it used to be 5 nuts that held the wheel on. And now it's just a single one in the middle. And if a wheel comes off for any reason, even if the wheel breaks, if that wheel comes off, it's like a $50,000 fine. It's a 100-point penalty. The crew chief is suspended for like 4 races. Like, it's just off the charts, punitive, where, again, somebody can do something just absolutely dangerous. I mean, we saw Ty Gibbs do it all year last year, and ended up being rewarded as the series champion. So, no disrespect to Kyle. Obviously, we're big, fans and friends of his from having run under the Kyle Busch Motorsports banner. it'll be really interesting to see what happens with him and Richard Childress. It wasn't that long ago that Richard Childress was squaring off with him in a physical confrontation in one of the team transporters a couple of years ago. So they're both fiery personalities. They both have a crazy passion to win. But just absolutely candidly, I will not be spending an awful lot of time with my eyes in front of NASCAR this year. Aside from our Pinty series.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Speaking of IndyCar, now they had one of their best seasons on TV in 8 years in the United States, right? And they've got, I think it's only for the fourth time in the last 50 years, they're going to have 13 or more races on network TV in the States, which is great, but it's not great for Canadians, right? Like there's nothing that's changed here, or am I missing something? Are we going to be able to find IndyCar this year?
Yeah, I mean, we'll still likely have it on Sportsnet. To get the full exposure of what IndyCar is doing. And I mean, their package is actually really good. That through IndyCar's package, which is largely broadcast on Peacock in the States, for like $5 a month, you get not only IndyCar, but you get basically everything that Sportsnet would offer in Canada. You get that in the States, plus movies, plus TV, plus for $5. We pay $20 to $30 a month on Sportsnet to get that same thing per month. But the coverage is really good. You get the practices, you get qualifying, you get some of the post-race activities. You can stream it. You can, I mean, I don't actually have TV service anymore, so for me, that's the only way that I can watch is by buying the subscriptions. But they do a great job. Obviously having Hinch join the broadcast team was a big benefit. I thought he did a really, really good job. But we're just the first week in January here, and already getting eager to see F1 back on the track, and then counting the days until IndyCar hits the track at St. Pete.
Awesome stuff, Colin. We'll talk to you next week. Have a good one.
You bet. Thanks a lot, guys.
It's Colin Livingston, the Race Report, brought to you by CanTorque.